people to
Okay, go ahead.
join the first class for free and just experience what this master class is. Is that is okay to do?
Yeah, I think that's perfectly fine to do. It's all
Okay.
about testing and measuring. So
Yeah.
at the end of the day, test it. If it works, great. Keep doing it. if it doesn't work, either
Hmm.
refine it because
Yeah.
because a concept might work, but your implementation didn't work as well.
Okay.
Or if the concept doesn't work, then stop doing it.
Yeah.
And uh, yeah, so I think that's perfectly fine. The
Okay.
what
Yeah,
was I
you were going to explain something. Yeah.
what was I going to explain again?
You said that this is how you got your first client.
Oh, yes. So here's two really good techniques. I didn't know they were techniques when I stumbled upon them in the very beginning. Okay.
Hmm.
So I'll give you a little bit of context.
Okay.
As a master franchise owner,
Hmm.
legally per my contract with Action Coach, I was only allowed to have up to 6 clients. That was it.
Okay.
So that's why we ended up having to create Bougie Action Coach and buy our own franchise because once Annette joined and we wanted
Hmm.
to add more clients, we had to legally
Yeah.
be able to do it, right? And
Yeah.
so at any rate, uh, I'm meeting with a gal named Tina that I met
Hmm.
at BNI.
Okay.
So we're meeting for coffee. I'm just asking her all kinds of questions about her and all that kind of stuff. We run out of time and we have to schedule a part two for a week later so she can
Hmm.
learn more about our business. During that segment, I started out by summarizing what I learned about her from the prior week
Hmm.
to make sure she knew I heard her. And then I shared more about us. And I told her some of this is going to be review for you because I know I've shared components of this for sure. But I shared with her, is it okay if I share why I got into this in the first place before I share exactly what we do and how we do it? And she's like, oh yeah, that'd be great. So I shared more of my why, you know,
Hmm.
here's Simon Sinek type stuff. And and then I shared more of what we do. And I shared it from the perspective of, well, you're a small business owner and you mentioned this and this and this last week. So you know how challenging it is being a small business owner, trying to put it all together and yada,
Hmm.
yada, yada, right? You're balancing payroll and growth and systems and trying to have a great lifestyle at home as well. And she's like, yeah, 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 that's the challenge. And I'm like, that's what we do. And so I shared then the 6 steps in 5 ways enough that she understood it and kind of tied it to her situation a little bit.
Hmm.
And and then just like BNI teaches, it's like share what an ideal referral would look like for you. And so I shared, look, an ideal referral for me is a small to mid-sized business owner who's been around for at least typically a couple of years. Once in a while, if they're super savvy, I might work with more of a startup or somebody who just started their business kind of a thing. Uh, um, if they're really serious about getting to the next level. But in
Hmm.
general, somebody who's been around for a little while and and at least has something to work with. And but if it's okay, um, I'd like to share a few things with you that are crucial to knowing if uh, if you should refer somebody to me anyway, because I don't want just any business owner um, to be referred, right? Our
Yeah.
stuff will work in every business, but it won't work for every owner. So is it okay?
Yep.
Share a couple things, and that's where I shared above and below the point and B times
Yep.
B equals have, and probably a third thing that was relevant to her. I always like to do three, and
Hmm.
and so if they're not generally going to be above the point of power already, if they are generally speaking always below that point, don't refer them to me because they're not going to get value. If they're not willing
Right.
to work on who they're being and what they're doing and making changes to those to have greater results, don't refer them to me because they won't get value. And And by the end of the conversation, Sachin, she looks at me and she said, "Will you be my coach?" And Sachin, that was not my purpose. My purpose was I don't want to work with I'm only going to work with six clients.
Mm-hmm.
I'm only going to have six max. I don't want to, because my purpose in why I got into this business in the first place is the overarching reason I'm here. I don't want to work with a client that's not going to get great value and it's not going to be fun to work with. So don't refer me somebody
Mm-hmm.
who isn't going to be that kind of person, right? And
Yep.
uh, and so I wasn't trying to do it to get her to want to become a client, but that's what happened. She goes, "Would you be my coach?" And I'm like, I was literally stunned in the moment. I had
Yep.
cognitive dissonance trying to,
Mm-hmm.
I had to think on my feet. And I'm like, well, I don't know. Are you willing to be above the point of power? Are you
Mm-hmm.
willing to work on who you're being and what you're doing
Yep.
to have the results that you want to have, which we're going to have to dive into more deeply if
Yep.
I agree to work with you. And she's like, yes, yes, yes. I'm like, okay, well, I'll tell you what, we're pretty serious about who we work with, so we've got a process and you've got to
Mm-hmm.
qualify. I really like you. I'm super impressed with you. You seem like exactly the kind of person I'd love to work with. However, uh, we've got a couple of hoops to jump through. You're gonna have to fill out a questionnaire. We're gonna have to meet again and do a business diagnostic so we can really understand your situation and make sure we can move the needle on your bottom line results. And
Yep.
and I'll be testing, are you actually going to live up to what your commitments are? Because we're all about being action coach. We're not about sit around and think about it and never implement anything coach. That's not us, right? We're about
Mm-hmm.
action, taking action. If you don't take action towards your goals, you're never going to get results anyway. Does that make sense? And obviously they agree with all that kind of stuff. So I'll send you a short little preliminary questionnaire that you'll have to fill out. It'll take you 20, 30 minutes. If
Mm-hmm.
there's anything in there you don't understand, just skip that particular question. Don't overthink it too much. Uh,
Yep.
but get that back to me and let's schedule a time to follow up in a week or two. So we got out our calendars, we picked something. I go, great. Like I said earlier, it'll probably take you 20, 30 minutes to fill that out. I'll get it to you by whatever time. I'm going back to my,
Mm-hmm.
my home office and
Yep.
I'll get it to you by noon or whatever. And what time will you get that back to me by?
Mm-hmm.
And she said, well, I'll get it back to you by like 2 in the afternoon. I'm like, okay, great. I said, is there anything that could get in the way of you getting it back by two, potentially? And
Mm-hmm.
it's like, well, after our meeting, because we had our early morning coffee meeting, she goes, I've got a meeting with my biggest client here later in the morning. And depending on what comes out of that, there might be some projects I got to jump on. So she owned a staffing firm and she might have had to jump on a new staffing project for that client or something. And I'm like, okay, that's totally cool. Just give me a time and a date you can commit to getting the questionnaire back by. I said, I don't care what day and time it is. I just
Mm-hmm.
want to know you live up to whatever your commitments are, because if you don't live up to your commitments, you're probably not going to get value in our programs anyway. You probably wouldn't make the right kind of client for me to work with. And she's like, okay, I'll get it back to you. I can guarantee I'll get it back by tomorrow morning. I'm like, great. What time tomorrow morning? And she's like, wow, you really are about accountability. I said, we are. So
Yep.
she's like, 8 o'clock. I said, great. I'll expect it before 8 o'clock tomorrow morning. If I get it before 8 o'clock tomorrow morning, fantastic. We'll continue with our meeting that we just scheduled.
Mm-hmm.
And if I don't, then I'll know you're probably not serious enough to go after it and you probably wouldn't get value anyway. And we'll,
Mm-hmm.
we'll cancel the meeting. She had it to me within like 30 minutes of me sending it to her. And I'm like, I, and so I fired back. I'm like, wow, you are an overachiever. That's a really good sign that you're going to be a great client and get great results on our program. So it's always about how we frame things up. Always about that. That is the essence of this business in terms of
Awesome.
in terms of getting clients and
Yeah.
getting good results with the clients. Those are the only two things. If you get
Mm-hmm.
good clients and you get good results with those clients, you're going to keep those clients for a super long time.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to give you testimonials. They're going to refer other business to you. If you're just begging somebody, please be my client, please be my
Yeah.
client, you're going to look like every other salesperson out there who will sell to anybody who can fog a mirror
Yeah.
and give them a little bit of business. You'll be no
Mm.
different than anybody out there. But every other salesperson out there, they need dozens and dozens and dozens and dozens of clients, if not hundreds or thousands of clients. That's the majority of them. And uh, even those who don't, they still act like all the other ones because that's what they've been trained to do, not necessarily through formal training, but they've been
Mm-hmm.
trained that way by just being in the business world and hearing so many salespeople act that way. And um, so we want to be totally different. We want to be 100% focused on our why
Mm-hmm.
and our who. And the who for us is people are going to be above that point of power. People are going to work on their be and their do and have
Ready
the
to take
results. All
action.
that. Yeah, ready to take action. They're going to allow us to truly be the coach and hold up the mirror loud and clear, not from
Yes.
a place of judgment, but from a place of compassion. I care enough to tell you when you got lettuce in your teeth.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
I did explain this to Pankaj yesterday when he said that
excellent.
he's interested in one-on-one coaching, and I said we usually don't recommend one-on-one coaching until you complete this program. But if you are serious about it, and then here are some of the conditions like about the point of power, I explained that, and I also explained this accountability piece.
Excellent. And how did he respond when you explained those to him?
He was very excited, and he said, "I exactly want you to do that." I said, "I will be that unreasonable friend if you want me to be your coach."
Yes,
And he said that that is exactly I need.
that's
Like,
exactly it.
forget
Yep.
about our old relationships. Don't let that get in our way. You be the coach and you tell me what I'm doing wrong because this is exactly I need. Otherwise, I would have been successful already. So I said, yes, that's great.
Absolutely. That's fantastic, Sachin. And then one really good thing to do too, if you're gonna
Yeah,
do if you're gonna do this kind of stuff remotely, as much as you can, get them on a Zoom, because then you can read body language and stuff like that as well.
he
Versus
actually
just
lives very close to my house, so
okay,
he wants to do in person. He said that we can rotate. Miss, one time is he would come to my place. The other time he said you
excellent.
come to my
Oh
house.
yeah, for the actual
Yeah, yeah,
working together. I'm
yeah.
talking about the client acquisition part on the front,
Okay, okay.
because you
Yeah,
had mentioned that you had done a phone call with them.
yeah, yeah. This
So you
was
weren't
phone.
able to record it
Oh yeah.
as much as you can. Um,
Mm-hmm.
there might be an app you can put on your phone so that
Okay.
when you're
Yeah.
calling somebody, you can call through that app and it records the conversation. Uh,
Okay.
I
Yeah. Tell
would
me that.
so as much as you can record because
Okay.
that's your own game film then that you can go
Right.
back and the things you do really well, it
Uh-huh.
reinforces them for you and it locks it in at a deeper level.
Yeah.
And the things that maybe you trip up on,
Mm-hmm.
you'll catch it and you can just refine it and make it even better.
Right.
So that's really important. The second thing you could do is if you can put them on a Zoom and say, hey,
Okay.
if you're up for a quick Zoom, that would be great because I'd love to meet you at least in person or at least face to face, even if there's a screen between us. But I look forward to meeting you, you know,
Mm-hmm.
actually in person. And assuming they say yes, I would you can frame up because oftentimes their spouse or they
Mm-hmm.
might have a key employee, in his case, maybe his son,
Yeah.
that now it might be different because he's funding it and his son is kind of working for him a little bit. But
Yeah.
but sometimes they might have a key employee that's a crucial person in their business, right? Like a
Mm-hmm.
CFO or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes the client can um, uh, they go tell their spouse or they go tell their CFO and you find out later that that person's quote unquote sabotaged things.
Mm-hmm.
And they go tell their wife, "Oh my gosh, you'll never believe it, honey. I just signed up with Coach Sachin and this is going to be awesome. All of our challenges are going to get better, right? Everything's going to get better because they're super excited. They just signed,
Yep.
they made this big decision to do this and
Hmm.
spend the kind of money that our clients spend. And and they go tell their spouse about it, and the spouse has no idea about the value proposition of what we offer. And the new client doesn't know how to communicate it effectively because they haven't been trained in all the stuff we've been trained in. They don't understand all of our systems yet. They don't understand all of the intellectual property. They don't full they trust you because you've showed them the
Hmm.
value prop, but they don't know how to communicate it really well. So the spouse sometimes can go, "You did what? You hired a coach? What's a coach?" And they have their own perceptions of what it might be, and it might be good or bad, but we have
Yep.
no idea. And they might think it's just a cheerleader, who knows? And if the client has been maybe struggling financially, maybe they're not making enough money yet, um, uh, to pay for all their goals and dreams and ambitions as a family, and maybe their spouse is driving a 10-year-old car with 150,000 miles on it, and and they haven't been on vacation, like a super nice vacation in the last couple of years. You never know totally what's the situation in the background. And
Yep.
uh, and their spouse goes, and you're spending how much money on this coach? And I'm still driving this old car, and you haven't taken us on vacation? And all of a sudden they start planting seeds of doubt in the mind of the client. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So
Yes.
the more we can feed them information in a way that they can go back and tell their spouse or their CFO or whoever's on their team that uh, they've got the tools. So I would always ask, is there any other decision makers?
Yeah. Very important
And
question.
oftentimes they'll say no because they are the business owner. And especially when you're talking about one-on-one coaching, like doing the 12-week programs and stuff like that,
Mhm.
it's a cheap enough one-time fee that it's
Yeah.
they can make those decisions all day long typically. Um,
Yeah.
but in the one-on-one programs where they're gonna pay you a retainer of, let's say, 2,500 bucks a month or more, uh,
Hmm.
uh, 5 grand a month, whatever, they're that's like paying, one or two house payments kind of thing.
Yeah. Like a mortgage.
Yeah, it's like a mortgage. And
Yep.
and so their spouse or their CFO can be like, whoa, 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 that's a whole person. 5 grand a
Yes.
month, I can hire a person full time in my company for that, right?
Yeah.
And
Hmm.
but they got all excited because you did the diagnostic properly and they saw the value, they get it, they're like, oh my gosh, but they don't know how to communicate it. And so always asking about who else do you have as a decision maker? Well, I don't have anybody. I'm the business owner. Great. Are you married? Well, yeah, I'm married. And your spouse is not involved at all in the business. Nope, not at all. I'm the decision maker. Okay, great. So because we believe one of our core philosophies is business should give you more life, not suck the life out of you. And because you're married, it really should give you and your spouse and your family more life, right?
Yeah. Well,
And so would your spouse allow you to make a $5,000 a month investment in something that let's say you're going to just go buy a new house or fund some other charitable investment that you wanted to fund? Could you do that without talking to your spouse about it?
hmm.
Of course not. Probably not for most marriages, right?
Yeah.
And unless her business is at such a high level that they don't even notice it. And so then it's coaching them through. So so we just made a really good decision to to get going on this. How are you going to talk to your spouse about this and coaching them through that? Does that
Yeah.
make sense?
Yeah.
Making sure they have that five-way sheet that shows them the bottom line profits that the business is going to turn into. So those are all super, super
Yeah.
valuable techniques. Uh,
Hmm.
so, but let me go back to Tina. So the technique. don't just refer me anybody, right? Just what you did with your new client yesterday, which obviously you got from the email I sent you. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
so good job being coachable yourself. That's a really good trait, and applying it. Um, Second, really good technique is because our systems are that good,
Mm-hmm.
because of the credibility, because of all the history, because of all the clients, because of all the like it'll work literally in any business. We're in how many countries around the world, and we've been doing this for over 30 years. So telling them or framing this up, this is all about the framing. So Sachin, um, so if you're a prospect that I'm meeting with,
Mm-hmm.
one of my scripts is Sachin, and same thing. I stumbled on this because I could have a maximum of 6 clients when I first started. So
Okay.
I have to get clients, and I got 4, maybe 5 clients pretty quickly in the first several months. And then there was a guy networking that wanted to become a coach. He
Mm-hmm.
ended up, he ended up buying the first franchise that we ever sold. And I'm like, oh my gosh, what do I do with a franchise owner now? And so I'm calling Vegas, going, help me with this guy and all that. Well, I had only 1 or 2 slots left for clients legally because I could only have 6 as a master franchise owner. And so I'm meeting with people out networking and stuff like that, and people are getting interested, right? And so I'd meet with somebody, and let's say you're somebody I'm meeting with, and I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
Sachin, look, our systems will work in any business. Very similar to my script with Tina.
Yeah.
Our systems will work in any business. They won't work for every person, and not every person is the right coach for every business. Like I've got
Right.
my own style, my own personality, and all that. So we'll vet if our stuff will work in your business. We'll figure that out here. If you're the right kind of client that's going to take full advantage of our programs and our systems and get a great return on your investment, we'll figure that out. And that's the above and below the point and the B times do equals have and those kinds of things. However, if I'm not the right person for you to be your coach,
Uh-huh.
that's okay. Don't let my personality or my style get in the way of you taking full advantage. I'll gladly refer you to one of our other colleagues.
Yes. That
What,
is.
yeah, what that'll do then is that reduces their resistance
Yeah.
because they realize I care more about them and their best interests than I do about me getting a client, if that makes
Yeah.
sense.
Yes.
And they're
Good.
so used to everybody and their brother selling them
Yeah.
and just trying to get a deal done.
Yeah.
And so we're very, so if you take those handful of things into account, and just be really good at scripting those. So practice
Uh-huh.
them, script
Uh-huh.
them until they just come off the tongue very confidently, like they do with me. Uh,
Yeah.
and I truly believe them. Don't say something you don't believe. Like I truly believe I don't want a client that's going to engage with us and pay us a bunch of money that's not going to get great results. I got in this
Yeah.
business to truly help people and transform their futures.
Yes.
I don't
And
I don't
those who
want them
have this.
spending money and time with me if they're not going to get great results. Make sense?
Yes, absolutely. And everyone who believes in helping others would believe in this philosophy automatically. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. So,
Yeah.
um, so if you take that approach, you're
Mm.
going to be golden. More people will want to do business with you. More people will. We just got a new client this past week because one of our coaches down here in Columbus was meeting
Uh-huh.
with somebody.
Yeah.
They got convinced, the new client got convinced that, okay, I truly know that I'm gonna hire action coach, period. Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
However, the personality of the coach
Uh-huh.
met with what's now the new client
Yeah.
ultimately ended up not being the right fit in terms of the style.
Okay. Yeah.
So the coach, Coach Rick,
Uh-huh.
called up Annette and said, hey, I'm going to refer this guy over to you.
Mm-hmm.
He knows he's going to work with Action Coach. He just needs the right coach for him. So
Okay.
Rick introduced him to Annette and to Peg because he thought
Oh,
Peg or Annette would have the right personality for this new guy. And
okay.
uh, and so Peg met with him and Annette met with him and
Mm-hmm.
he ended up choosing Annette.
Okay.
So Rick got a nice little referral fee from Annette. Uh,
Right.
but we gave him the best system in the industry for businesses. So it wasn't for Rick, it wasn't about Rick getting a client for Rick. It was about getting a client and helping that person. And if Rick's personality wasn't the right personality and style for him, let me get you
Mm-hmm.
connected to my colleague. So those, and then Rick got a nice referral fee.
Yeah.
If otherwise the client would have been, I'm not sure about this Rick guy. The client might have very well just looked for other coaches to work with,
Yeah. Outside of action.
not stayed in the Action Coach family. Exactly.
Right.
So now we're going to have another happy client that's giving referrals and testimonials and things like that.
Yes.
Another case study, and it just helps spread the word that we're the we're the best brand in the industry for what we do. Make sense?
Yes.
Yep. So
Excellent ideas. Okay. Thank you very much.
yeah, and you're going to do great. Keep it up, brother. I'm super excited. You got your first paying client under your belt. That's awesome news. And just
Yes,
a
it is.
couple weeks out of training. That's awesome, dude.
I,
Go,
uh,
go celebrate, by the way, with Shweta.
yes.
You do a
Yes.
celebration every time you get a new client. That locks it in.
We
And
did yesterday.
excellent.
Yes.
Excellent. What do you guys do?
She made a special dish for me, and we did offer the prayers to God.
Excellent.
This is the new beginning, and we are very grateful. And I'm grateful for you and Annette too. So this is excellent and very timely. I mean, I was really looking for a good small win, and this turned out to be very unexpected. And he was just on the phone, and while we were on the phone, he signed up the form and he made the payment, and he was just excited about working with me. And he said, I mean,
Excellent.
I know you very well, Sachin, and I have been seeing how you are marketing your business. You are doing so well, and I'm so impressed. And I want to be like you, and I want to do XYZ. So I was surprised to hear all of this. And
Excellent.
yeah,
Excellent. And so keep celebrating,
yeah,
keep being grateful. A good IVVM from an I am
yeah,
statement.
yeah,
I learned this through the years, so you can skip to the front of the line instead of having
yeah.
to go through some of the. I used to have I am statements like I am a great coach,
Mm-hmm.
things like that. That
Yeah.
was almost a little too nebulous. And so I
Mm-hmm.
changed them to fit the be, the do, and the have. So
Right.
I am being super curious and inquisitive about their story.
Yeah.
I am being very compassionate about their situation. So there's the bees, right? And then the do's. I am talking to this many people every day and having at least this many meaningful conversations, that kind
Yes.
of stuff. I am asking great questions. So so the be and the do,
Mm-hmm.
and then the have is going to be things like leads, right? Right? I want
Yes.
to have certain leads and I want to have certain clients. So here's a important distinction on the have. Like I'll get up in the morning, I'll be like, God, thank you so much for the
Yeah.
great people you're going to put in my path today.
Mm-hmm.
I can't wait to see where they come from.
Wow. I love
So
that.
then it has nothing to do necessarily. Yeah, I got to do the marketing and I've got to do the
Yeah.
stuff, but then I'm less frustrated. This is what I find for me anyway.
Yeah.
So put it into words that are inspiring for you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm less frustrated if a certain marketing campaign doesn't work
Mm-hmm.
or doesn't produce the results I'm looking for because I know they're going to come. And it's amazing when I started doing that. It's like people come from different places, referrals, like
Yeah.
this client
Yeah.
that got referred from Rick, or old people from the database that maybe I haven't even followed up with for a long time. All of a sudden they just reach out and say, "Hey man, can we get on the calendar soon?" And
Hmm.
it's like, wow, thank you so much, God. And so just some extra little techniques, but always celebrate because you're putting out those positive vibrations into the universe, which is going to attract more people that want to be part of that.
Yes.
So just celebrate every little small win. Keep doing that. I'm glad you guys did that already last night.
Yeah. A little more like a gratefulness means expressing gratefulness than celebration, but that exactly is celebration for us, showing gratitude.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely love it, brother. Keep it up.
Thank you.
Keep it up. Go
Uh,
get a bunch more. And yeah, I hope this was valuable from a framing up perspective
Absolutely. It
and
was.
using the green sheet, right?
Yes. Yeah. And I'm going to send my email to you so that you can take a look at it and suggest if you have any comments or suggestions on how to make it better. And also going to mention the green sheet as well in that. You already kind of explained that to me.
I did,
Uh,
yeah. And I started this recording after the green sheet.
okay.
Happened.
Yeah, that's fine.
So I will send you a copy of this recording so you've got it so you can go
Yeah.
back and refer to it if you need to
Yes.
help just get better at some of the scripting and
Yes.
get that really locked and loaded. But
Usually,
why don't you send me a little video of you doing the framing of the green sheet and setting the RAS and things like that for people? So
okay.
so I can hear you practicing it. Okay?
Okay. Yes.
Yeah, that'd be great.
One quick thing. Yesterday, I met with a financial planner. He is in the chamber, so I had scheduled like a one-on-one with him. I recorded that session, but it went on up to 2 hours.
Oh, wow. Okay.
He loves to talk. He was talking so much. So, and he had a bad experience with one of the other coaches he had like several years ago. He's in 30s and he has dreams. So he has not committed anything